So hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is David Riss with Global Mentorship Initiative. Today, we're hosting the second GMI Mentor Roundtable discussion. And today, our invited and honored guest is Winnie Roberts. She's a GMI mentor. She's also a board advisory member, and she's going to share her career experience and connection to GMI's professional mentorship program. Just so everyone knows, GMI is a partnering nonprofit organization offering online mentorship to college and university students all over the world. And we're glad to welcome everybody today. It's going to be a fun thing. I've gotten to know Winnie over the past couple of sessions, and she's a very inspirational and aspirational leader. She holds an MBA. She's a high achieving leader with a great career of 15 plus years of broad-based areas and incentive and compensation experiences. She's designed and developed and administered compensation programs up to $500 million and supported global workforces. She's worked for Hilton, Microsoft, Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, and General Electric. Winnie also has earned her Bachelor of Science degree and Master's degree, MBA, from Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut, here in the U.S. And she's also a former chapter president for the National Black MBA Association in the greater Connecticut chapter. She's currently, I'm getting chat messages here. So she's a very inspirational leader, strong female mentor. I've learned a lot from her, and quite frankly, it's an exciting personal story. She's a first generation U.S. immigrant from Haiti, bilingual. She went through night school education studies, and she really has some good mantras, including her drive for perseverance. She's going to talk about having no self-imposed limits, showing up in a suit and ready to learn and work. And excellence is a continuing habit throughout her whole life. So welcome, Winnie. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so excited. I had to do a double take, like, who are you talking about? Such kind words, but I'm super, super duper excited. So thanks for having me.
Oh, we're great to have you. And I learned some new things today as well. So let's start off by telling us your career story. Share some information about your background, career path, and your current position from a little girl to the leader you are now.
Oh wow. So that's a loaded story. I'm gonna try to make it quick, sort of. So listen, I'm a Haitian girl from Miami. I'm the youngest of 12. I grew up in inner city, Liberty City. And I've worked for really great iconic companies, GE, Morgan Stanley, Hilton. And now I'm at this wonderful world-leading animal health pharmaceuticals organization called Zoetis. And so my career has taken me all around the country, where I've lived in Seattle, Connecticut, Virginia, and now I'm in New Jersey. But I think it all started with this part-time job that I had at GE as a contractor. And literally I was the receptionist and what we call the copy girl. But I call myself vice president of distribution and reproduction. So I took my job very seriously. And I mean, I was so excited about this gig. I wore my church clothes to work every day. And one day my manager comes to me and she's like, Winnie, listen, there's this startup company and they want us to try out their new products. They sent us these tutorials and, if we like the products, we'll get it for everybody in the company. But we need someone to test it out. So she gives me, this is 1992, guys. So she gives me a floppy disk, these large headphones, these manuals, and I look at the box, and it is the startup company because it's 1992, and I open the box, and it's a small startup company called, ready for this, guys? Microsoft. So here I am, 19-year-old Winnie, having an opportunity to learn PowerPoint, Word, Excel, advanced level on my own. And the rest is history. I became an expert PowerPoint, PowerPoint, Excel, Word user at that time. And the rest is truly history. But I don't know if she would have approached me if I wasn't so excited and so committed to my little gig to make photocopies. I make copies, I make coffee, I answer the phone, I had my little script. I mean, I really enjoyed and leaned into the experience. So yeah, that's how things started.
That's great. I can go back to when I was a paper route boy, and those experiences are, they are life forming, I think. And you got such a wonderful background with your mother, and we'll talk about that in a moment
Yeah.
as well. Um, uh, so what we talked earlier about, what words or thoughts might best describe your personality, professionally and personally?
That's a good question. I think most consider me nurturing, but I nurture people outside my professional life. But I'm also very nurturing in my corporate environment. I nurture my goals. I'm like, ooh, did we move the needle yet? Did the variance go up or did it go down? I'm really focused. I'm very nurturing. I think some consider me very energetic. I consider myself fun but firm. Ambitious. I think I'm more focused and ambitious. And believe it or not, I'm a little shy. I appear as an extrovert, but I truly am an introvert. I love my me time. I love to meditate and reflect. So those are the words I think that will best describe me.
Well, you left out a few things that I
Oh
picked
yeah.
up on that you
Okay.
talked about: focus,
Okay. Yes.
honesty,
Yes.
ambitious, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and I love that you brought up honesty because I really do believe that is the key to so many elements in life. When I'm looking for top talent, I'm looking to see how honest they are. And I think a key to how I'm able to arrive where I am in my career is not just being honest with others, but being honest with myself. That check in with myself every day and say, hey, that didn't feel good. Why did you handle things that way? So I'm constantly doing that self-check with honesty and saying, was this a great day? How could you have made it better? What could you have done differently? But also being a trusted advisor and being honest in the workforce, in the workplace as well.
Yeah. Well, that very much resonates with me. I assume most people are good and honest,
Yes,
and
yes,
notwithstanding character flaws, I
yeah,
really focus on one's strengths, not weaknesses. And I think there are challenges as we get into the business world involving honesty and ethics. And I think it's really a topic that should be talked about more.
yeah.
Because trust is very important in personal relationships and in a business environment as well, as we represent our companies. So tell us about your college experience. That is really interesting to me, the challenges, and talk a little bit about your degree, major, and how all this informed and continues to inform and impact your career.
Yeah, I'm really proud of being able to attain my MBA. However, my college experience was meh, right? I went to school at night, but let me tell you why I had to go to school at night. So graduating from high school, I come from a Haitian family. We were very poor. I mean, you had to count every dollar. And I remember distinctly my sisters and my mom having this conversation and saying, hey, she needs $25 for the application fee. Do we have it? And one of my sisters saying, listen, she have good English, she have a diploma, she don't need no college, right? So, and at that time, that actually was a true statement. But for me, I just knew in my heart of hearts, there was something more out there for me, that I had this crazy dream that there was just something bigger for me, that if I had to go out there and see it. So I did go to school at night. I got my associates at night, and then my last semester I got pregnant. Good Lord. But listen, baby boy is great. He's at UCLA. All is good. And then I took a year off, got my bachelor's in finance at night, and then got my master's degree. So I focused on finance. My love language is data, and I think it was a very good choice. I think in the workforce, you have to have strong data acumen. You have to have the ability to have this entrepreneurship type of attitude or approach to things. But more importantly, although I spent so much of my corporate experiences in finance and incentives and in sales operations, really what I like to call myself is not an incentive expert or a data expert. My focus every day is to be a people expert. How do I drive people to attain the goals that we need to attain? So focus on the people, be honest, be kinder than necessary, and be focused.
And you've moved from floppy disk to the cloud, I'm sure by now, right?
No more floppy disk. I don't even know if our audience know what a floppy disk is. We're dating ourselves here, Dave. We're dating ourselves.
Yeah. Oh my. So what drew you to GMI? What was the connection, and how did you find out about and tell us about that.
So fun fact is I've never really had a mentor. Most people climb the corporate ladder by having great mentors and having great sponsors. I had a mentor at GE for like a hot minute. And then when I tell you a hot minute, it was like a month or two. Love to, hope she can see this someday. Hey, Regina. But so I knew. And so while I did not have the benefit and advantage of having a mentor, I have mentored others. So I knew the superpowers of mentoring. But as a Black woman, as a Haitian-American, I also knew how significant it is to have that different voice, a different perspective from the brown girl in terms of, girl, listen, you can't really do that. Or let me tell you how you can approach these things. So I knew the superpowers of mentorship, but I also was obsessed with Global Mentorship Initiative because their focus was on students in impoverished areas. I came from an impoverished area in the US. And so, and being able to have the opportunity to do it online, the flexibility, the structure that the organization provide for me to be a more effective mentor was amazing. And honestly, giving back is truly my emotional bread and butter. I enjoy it. I grow with every meeting and every session. It was a win-win. I'm excited. I'm glad to be here, and I'm here to take it to the next level together. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like I owe you guys a thank you more than anything else.
Well, we'll get into talking a little bit about your mother and her courage and strength. So I perhaps would argue she was your first mentor, perhaps.
Yeah, my mom was magical. I mean, when food stamp day came, she would make the best meal. Now we had to sit out the rest of the month because it was, we couldn't use all the food stamps all day, every day. But my mom was magical. I mean, she had, she born 12 children. Only 3 of us were born in the hospital. So that's a fun fact. And she led with kindness. And every day when I would come home from school, she would say, "Were you nice today? Were you nice today?" Not that I wasn't nice, guys. That was just something that she did. But but she was always encouraging me to be nice. She was a big hugger. She was a great cook, and I think one of the first non-entrepreneur that I know. I mean, if you can raise 12 children solo in this country as an immigrant, working 3 jobs, housekeeping, she truly is my hero. So yeah, love that woman.
Well, that's just wonderful. That's just a great story. So tell me, dig a little bit deeper. You talked about life struggles you've experienced and the resulting lessons you've learned. And tell us a little bit about some of those experiences as you as an individual, as a Black female, being successful in the challenges.
Yeah, I mean, I still get uncomfortable when I hear the word successful. I think,
Embrace it.
Listen, I'm just a girl in the world trying to get my, get where I gotta be, and I got bills to pay and stuff, and enjoy the journey. So yeah, I still get a little uncomfortable, but that might be an inside job in terms of, how comfortable I am with, with acknowledging some of my accomplishments, right? But I think, it was tough. It was tough. I think growing up in Liberty City, Miami, being the first college graduate among my siblings, being a Black woman in corporate America. I read a quote somewhere that being a Black woman is like being Black twice. So listen, it's tough. But don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. I love being Black. It's magical, right? It has its downsides. It can be a little dangerous, but we good. And I think with all I think with all things, you have to focus on what is your goal. You have to, I think the Aristotle quote is, excellence is a habit. So I really try to give it my all to everything. There's going to be times when you know that you're being treated differently than others. There are going to be times where you know that you're not being heard. And there are going to be times where you're being passed up for promotions. But I just encourage you, just keep going. You just have to keep going. Put your best foot forward. Put your earrings and your red lip on. Guys, put your suit on and keep going. That goal that you're trying to attain is going to come. It may not come in your timing, but it will happen. There are a lot of great people out there that will see beyond the color. But it is tough. It is tough.
And I know we all come from different experiences, and some comparisons are correct, some are not correct. But your story about your mother, I don't even have to close my eyes. I have a visual picture of this woman. Her story and my story is perhaps not comparable. But I remember my mother in the 1960s and what society expected of her. And she was a brilliant woman. My dad was brilliant, very good people. But I saw as a child the struggles that she faced in terms of her kinetic potential for society, not getting the goodie out of her because of her expected role in society. I don't mean to make that a comparison, but your mother's story and your story, I think everyone can appreciate it. And if we can just get a little bit of resonating experience from that, we're all going to be better as people. So thank you for sharing that. It's a great woman. Thank you for bringing her into the conversation. So tell us a little bit about your leadership style, and how would others may describe your leadership style?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And by the way, that's a question that I would encourage everyone to ask during your interview process. Ask that hiring manager, what is their leadership style? So my leadership style tends to vary based on the talent, right? I can't be one thing to all. I have to be nimble. I have to adjust to the talent, right? But I think for the most part, if you have to choose, textbook languaging, right? My goal is to have an open and inclusive environment. Everyone should have the opportunity to pitch in their ideas. So, but I also feel that it's very important that people understand what their goals are and that they can strive for that as well. So I consider myself bureaucratic. I'm also what I consider a learning and development type of leader. I encourage extra learning. You really want to obsess with your function and your expertise. So if you're in finance, what associations that exist out there to help you further craft your expertise and grow. That's how I came to National Black MBA Association. I was a Black woman, I was Haitian, I had an MBA. I didn't know a lot of people like me, and I Googled and I found Black MBA Association. I started off as a mentor, and I think 3 years later, I was the president of the chapter. So when I think about my leadership style, I pour into others what I like to appreciate as well. As I like to teach. I want you to grow. I want you to be open, and I want you to pitch in when it comes to ideas.
And you used a couple of words with me talking earlier about your style is democratic. You've already shown that you adjust it to individuals, and certainly as a parent, I'm a parent of two.
Yeah.
we're all different, respond differently. And then coaching and this word of affiliative,
Yeah.
meaning an affiliation and alliance with team
Right.
members that really comes through, I think.
Yeah. And I'm a mother of one child, and he's gonna kill me for saying this, but I get a different kid every day. So I have to change up my style from Monday to Wednesday. But at the end of the day, you gotta do what works, right? If what you're doing is not working, you have to switch it up a little bit. But the biggest thing when it comes to leadership and seeking out talent, because no one's perfect, what you wanna, as a leader, what we try to figure out is this talent coachable? Are they absorbing the knowledge and the guidance is being provided? Are we seeing measurable changes, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's great. Kind of wish I had worked for you.
Listen, I wish I had worked for me.
Oh my, that's funny. So we've all been surprised in our career. So what surprises have you had in your career, and how did that inform? And you've used this acronym called PI. I'm curious about that.
Yeah. I think the biggest surprise that I learned about, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago when I was at GE, they used to have these seminars for Black talent, and it was PI, performance, image, exposure. And the biggest thing I learned was two things: was you do not have the 90 days, or you do not have a year for a learning curve, guys. Get in there, day one, show them what you got, speak up in that meeting, ask your questions. There's no wrong questions, there's no wrong answers, boom. You don't have a year, every day, give them your best. The second thing I learned is that performance is just the threshold. We're all expected to perform. You have to perform. No one's going to give you, when you're seeking a mentor, they're going to look at your performance, your performance trend and your performance results. When you're seeking a sponsor, and we'll talk about mentor and sponsor at another time, but performance matters, but what matters even more is the image and the exposure. So if you think about PI, performance, image, and exposure, your performance literally only makes up 10% of that equation of success. You have to have the right image, you have to have the right exposure. And by image, it is how you show up in the meetings. And this includes everything from your physicality, right? In terms of, are you dressing apart? And by the way, dressing apart is half the battle. It's half the battle. Just show up dressing apart. And then there's how you speak, how you're connecting. You have to make friends before you need them. Network. That exposure are those projects that's going to expand beyond your current role and scope, but also how you're marketing yourself and your successes. So it's all connected, but don't think that just performing well is the key. You have to get beyond that. You have to perform well, you have to market those successes, and you have to look really good doing so. And I just don't mean physically. Does that answer your question, Dave?
Well, I love that, because I think that message can resonate with everyone joining the conversation today, because all of the skills, the attributes, come from within. And you've shown that you've identified those. You have control over your performance, your image, your exposure. So it's aspirational because it has a positive method of control over one's life, even during periods of extreme adversity, right?
Yeah. And if I could just add, I think the conversation or talking points is a little different for us Black people, right? You talk about authenticity. Can I wear my braids? Can I color my hair? Why can't I wear this outfit? Listen, if you think about life in general, right? And you think about authenticity, not everyone deserves 100 and 150% of you. You want to hold back anyway, right? But at the end of the day, especially in a corporate environment, especially in business environment, the key is you need to know your audience. You need to know your customer, and that is who you're speaking to. So while you may want, and listen, let me just pause for a moment. This is my afro. It doesn't go nowhere. I don't blow it out for nobody. They're gonna get the afro, they're gonna get the hoops. But you can still be yourself, and you can still play to the tune of your audience, but you have to be mindful of your audience, right? You know, if you want to wear certain outfits and hair coloring, okay, you can express yourself, but does that work well with your audience and the customers that you're trying to attain? That's the answer. That's the question, not rather how authentic I can be.
Well, I love that because it also um, uh, is a strategy that does not compromise one's values and views and who they are. And it's striking that balance, focusing on the audience, but wearing the hoops and everything else that goes along
Yeah,
with that. Don't change that. We need more of
yeah.
that.
Listen, at the end of the day, when you're exceptional in your performance, you can get away with all that stuff. So I say get into the job, build your credibility, and then start to loosen up a little bit. But at the end of the day, you still have to play to your audience. You still have to know who your customer is.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us what you're looking for from the people around you. And I won't use the words we've talked about, but one of them really resonates with me. Well, they all do, but tell us a little bit
Okay, okay.
about the.
Um, yeah, when I look for people that are honest, like if you, and listen, you can't hide that, right? You can only hide that, but for so long. So I look for people that are honest. I look for people that are really in tune or devoted to their function expertise, right? I look for great self-starters, right? And then also, and by self-starters or entrepreneurship mindset, if we're in a meeting, right? If it's as simple as this. If we're in a meeting and it just so happened to say that, well, we don't have a report to illustrate the variances from last year and da 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 da. That top talent is going to come to me a week later and say, or even the next day and say, hey, I heard you mention that we don't have this report. I've gotten it started. Want to talk to you about more feedback and input into this particular exercise, and what does the timing look like for you? That's a self-starter, right? They saw that this need, I didn't have to ask for it, and they took the initiative to move forward. So that's kind of the things I try to look for and try to nail during the interview process. Do they have these type of attributes and skill sets?
Yeah. So you had mentioned earlier in some of our conversations,
Okay.
curiosity, and I
Yes.
love that.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about you know curiosity.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it could be a little tricky in certain cultures, right? In my culture, I'm going to say, it's frowned upon to be nosy, right? But in the workforce, there's nosy, then there's being curious, right? You have to have a sense of curiosity to follow each lead that makes the most sense for your project. So you're going to be asking questions. You're going to be looking under every hood of the car to find your answers. So yes, curiosity is huge.
Yeah, I love that because I personally, my culture is one of extreme curiosity,
Yeah.
nosy, but I think curiosity also shows interest and engagement, and because people want to learn more and they're curious. I love that. In fact, there's some books that have been written just called Curiosity, and
Yeah.
I think it's needed, and it makes life more interesting, right?
Yeah. And the thing about the great attribute of curiosity is really going to distinguish you from others, right? Because curiosity means that you're not just taking a request and following it. Curiosity means that you're taking a request, you're asking questions, you have the opportunity to say, hey, what does it look like to hit this ball out of the ballpark, right? If you're not curious, you're just going to take the request. And one of the things I urge students and younger professionals is when you're getting a request, or if you have a project, think about what the leader is asking for, and then think about what the leader needs, and you want to give them both. So he may say, I am looking for my sales dollars. I want to understand how my team members are doing against each other. Well, you know what? He may need the sales dollars. He may need to know the tenure, how long each of those team members have been in either sales or with the organization, that's really going to help him to do the apples to apples analysis. So he may have asked for 2 columns, but think about it. If you understand the purpose, or if you're curious about how he's going to use that information, you can really provide what's needed.
So we're getting some great, thanks, Winnie. Love that. We're getting some online questions coming in. So, these will be spur of the moment, but you're right.
Okay.
Give the right answer. So Ellie, who is a graduate of Southern New Hampshire University in healthcare management, majored in communications. And she says that she's realized that graduates are confronted with a situation where recruiters want someone who has 5 years of experience or more. So how did you cope with situations like that? I can really relate coming out of graduate school during a recession, trying to get a job. Just give me a chance and I'll do.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk a little bit about that coming out of school, perhaps not having that 5-year experience yet.
Yeah. So there's a few things you can do. I say that if you don't have the experience, you sell the knowledge, right? So and you can articulate that and illustrate that through your resume and your cover letter. Show them what you know. Hey, I may not have this particular experience, but let me tell you what I know about this role and how I think we can take it to this next level. The other thing is there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? You want that communications manager role, but when I talk about really being obsessed with your function and your career, and joining other organizations, if you can't get it, if you have to go in entry level and not a manager role, that is okay. Seek out organizations and associations and volunteer your time there. Become a communications manager there, build a network there. You're going to build on your experiences that you can transform that skill set in those experiences into your corporate career. One of my best experiences came from being a chapter president for National Black MBA Association. I had a team of 12 to 18 board members. We all worked on a volunteer basis. That means no one got paid. So I had to inspire executives to perform in ways that would align to our corporate or with our business strategies, right? So that is leadership experience. And I was able to share that in interviews and articulate that in my resume as well. So if you can't get it in the corporate environment, seek it in a volunteer and association. And also if you don't have the experience, let them know your knowledge about it.
And I also think even if there's a 5-year requirement for experience and maybe
you're
able to secure that job, make that contact. It's a contact that will come in later. They may find that, well, here is a person that we want to make a job for, put in another position, or 6 months later, call again. So even in conversations where you may receive a quote, no answer, it can lead to a maybe, to a later, a yes.
And listen, as a hiring manager, I get the 5-year experience eligibility for certain roles. You want someone who's had the experience of 5 years. Is going, we may use this as a meter in terms of how much direction and hand-holding the talent may be required to have to achieve certain levels of success. So I kind of get it in certain levels for certain roles, but you can also get that experience through associations and organizations and leverage it there as well.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Leadership skills, for example, or transfer. Right. So we've got another question, a little bit related to some previous conversations. So Doris is asking, what are the characteristics or attributes that contributed to your success in your career? We've talked about perseverance and things like this. Could you talk a little bit about your personal characteristics that
so I'm very self-aware. I do self-checks with myself. I like to consider myself a great listener. And what that means, it doesn't mean that I'm not cutting you off sometimes, because I'm still working on that, guys. But I hear you when I'm receiving feedback. I hear you when you're making requests, and I even hear what you're not asking for as well. And I think that's always contributed to my success with my management, and as well within my role. So, and I approach everything. I'm really hard on myself, but I really do try to approach things with a sense of excellence and expertise. I want to do well. It drives me. It helps me feel better at night. So I think really approaching things with a sense of excellence, being kinder. I can't say this enough, be kinder than necessary. People have to want to work with you, right? Don't think that because you're talented, you could just keep your job. Nobody, you're spending more time with your coworkers, even virtually, than you would with your family. So people have to want to work with you. So be kind. You don't have to be a doormat. That's two different things. Be kind, be excellent, and be self-aware.
Well, I think your note about kindness leads to approachability. And if you're
Yes.
approachable, you will be a node in the communication network, and you'll find out
Yeah.
a lot of things out there. I think that approachability. So I've got another question coming in. This is great. I don't have to think up all the questions. DeConzo is asking, oh, I love this one. What is the most difficult decision you've taken as a leader, and how did you cope with it? Oh, that's a great one.
It's always difficult to terminate. It is always difficult to terminate. I acknowledge, as a leader, as a mother, as a provider, the significance, the role of our careers and our jobs. And so it's always difficult. It's always difficult to terminate, regardless of the reasons and the driver. But like everything else, you literally just have to face the music. You have to feel firm in your decision. You have to approach it with care. And that's what I've done. But that's always been the toughest thing for me, is to have to terminate.
I really like that, and it's in my area I have given people the news about their termination, and I
Yeah.
never enjoy it. And I
Yeah.
always tell myself I don't ever want to enjoy that, um, because then I've lost part of my humanity without regard to the reason the person is being terminated. But I've looked at it, I'm not terminating them. They've terminated themselves.
Yeah.
But as long as there are no character issues, I never want to enjoy that.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
ever want it to be pleasant, because we're talking about people's lives, right?
Yeah. Yeah, regardless of the justification for the termination is difficult. I can tell you from COVID-related termination due to,
Yes,
business performances, or even performance-related
yes.
termination, where you know that you've shared enough feedback to say, hey, this is where we're going. I really need to see a turnaround and shift in your performance and a contribution to the team. It's never, never easy, but like most things, you will get through it. You do it with care, and then you have to walk away. And I always ask myself, what is this teaching me? What is the lesson? I lean in.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So we've got other questions coming in.
Okay.
I'll get to the Q&A, and the open chat room is here. So Loreto is saying, hi, everyone. I'm doing my
Hey.
last year. Hey, a Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration at the Maharishi Institute in Johannesburg. I'd like to know what skills Winnie has developed as a professional since taking the role of being a board advisory member at GMI. I love this question because it speaks to your counsel to the group about learning is lifelong. And
Yeah.
I've learned things since I've been fortunate enough to join GMI. So tell us what you've learned.
I've learned that people still matter. You have to put people first. If you think about Global Mentorship Initiatives, it's a not-for-profit organization. So we're not here to turn a profit. We're really here about providing the community of students the best information and access to leadership so that they can excel in their careers. And I think what I've learned the most is putting people first. We have an amazing advisory board of diverse sector people, diversity in terms of gender as well as nationality. And I think that's the other learning, is that the more diverse and inclusive your teams are, the greater the ideas and impact. So if you had to ask me what's the key learning, is that people will still rule first, and diversity and equity is still truly and highly valued and important.
Yeah, excuse me, that's great. So Amy is asking, What are the best strategies to use when you want to change career and be successful? You know, it's so interesting at generational changes. Um, my parents' generation would have one career, maybe one employer. Now, folks coming out of school, not only will they work for a half a dozen different employers, perhaps,
Yeah.
but they transition into different careers. And there are careers that will be created tomorrow that do not exist today that people will move into. So, what are those best strategies for changing career? Changing.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I would love to have more information what that change or transition is, but this is what I would say. With every job search, seek what that new role is. Look at that job, look up the job description, find those open roles, that dream job of that new career. You want to look at the skill sets and the qualification that they're seeking. And then you want to do one of two things. You want to align some of your skill sets and see where they're transferable into that new role. But also, that job description has a lot of keys in that what we call the JD, the job description. So the skill sets that are seeking, there's going to be some things in there that you can actually solve for yourself. What type of degrees they're looking for, what type of experiences they're looking for. Try to solve for that on your own and get exposure in those areas as well. So when I talk about volunteerism, see if there's any organization that's associated with it. I think all transitions are possible. You just have to approach it from an educated perspective in terms of what is needed in this new career, where am I so far, and how do I get that, how do I close the gap?
Okay, great, right, great. Patience is asking, what are tips or advice you can give young professionals who are eager to take senior roles in their careers? And what do you think makes people, allows them to be promoted or believing in them to give them more task and reward? So how can you do what you've done to show up, take the box of floppy disk, and
Yeah.
how about making that next step to
Oh,
arise to
yeah.
a senior position?
It goes back to PI, performance, image, and exposure. Here's the thing, guys. Promotion is it's an act, it's a strategy. So you don't just perform well and they go, oh, click, we bring her up. Each organization have their own strategy or process that goes with the promotion process. And some orgs, they may say, hey, your manager and their peers have to agree that you are promotable. And so for you, if that is the case, for you, you have to ask yourself, how do I develop relationships with each of those peers? So the key is when you're entering an organization, or if you're already in an organization, connect with your HR business partner, get to know them, ask questions about any professional development or programs within the org, ask them about the promotion process, ask them where you are in terms of their ranking of promotable versus not. Listen, you have to have these conversations. Not knowing is not going to get you anywhere. So the key to promotion is knowing what your promotion process is at your organization, and that starts with your HR business partner.
Yeah, I like that. Good counsel from you, Winnie. And it kind of relates to another question coming in from in Kalumo, a student advisor at GMI. What is the best advice you can give to help plan a career rather than simply work to keep a job? My own view on that is own your career. No one else owns it. Do not delegate, relegate your career to anyone else. And even as a young person entering an industry, and it's tough to do sometimes because just give me a chance, I want to work, I'll do anything.
Yeah.
And then conversely, without being arrogant, I think and depending on one's own personality style, remember that you're in control of your own career. You have the option to ask questions, get the job description, make sure the job description describes what you want to do. Don't accept that it's 100% in terms of a power or ownership of the relationship by the employer. Don't be arrogant, but stand up and take care of yourself, and realizing that you do have you can say yes or no to job offers. You can't say no until someone says yes and makes that offer. but give yourself some confidence to sit at that negotiation or conversation table and engage in that from a position of confidence and strength without arrogance. And I think if one carefully navigates through that complexity and sophistication, it will show the seeds of further leadership potential in the right way. I know when I got out of graduate school, it was like, I'll do anything, just give me a job, give me a chance.
Yeah.
And it is difficult, you know.
Yeah, I think also it all starts with you in terms of it's a thin line between what's a job and what's a career. If you approach them both and you own them both and you really lean in and approach them both with excellence, a great career where you're at the top of your game will still feel like a job. So you really have to ask yourself, what is it that what you really want to do, what you're really great at, and am I doing that right now? And does that come with the salary that you need to maintain the lifestyle that you want to achieve? That's how I would approach it in terms of job versus career. There's a thin line between the two of them.
Great. I'm now on the Q&A line here.
Okay.
So let's see. So Vithusen is asking, how can I be confident? Any tips for developing self-confidence? And I think that's a great question. We all come into the world with different levels of self-confidence. Part of it is just age, I think.
Yeah.
And personality types. But how did you develop confidence? Because you have great presence, screen-wise, certainly, and good confidence without arrogance. So how about tips for developing that self-confidence?
Yeah, I think it's a two-part answer for me. When I think about confidence, I would encourage the person to ask themselves, what is confidence to them and why do they think they don't have it, right? There's that inside job you have to do and say, why do I think I don't have it? Why am I not able to do those things that I think looks like someone who has confidence? And then honestly, the real work is, the other real work I should say is confidence is preparation.
Yeah.
The more I am prepared, before I walk into a room, the more confident I will appear. There's going to be opportunities where you don't know what you don't know, but 5 minutes before that meeting or a half hour, an hour before the meeting, before every meeting, I try to ask myself, what is my role going to be in this meeting? What is the intended outcome? What do I need from this meeting, right? And even if it's one of those meetings where I feel like, oh, it's a brainstorming, so I don't have to prepare for this, but just knowing that going in, I show up differently. So the key to confidence is preparation. You can't just walk into situations and rooms.
I love that. And I have employed those tactics myself in my career. And I think it's practice and it's placing oneself in an uncomfortable situation, still controllable. So put the toe in the pond, then put your whole foot in the water and do that practice. And before you know it, be able to stand up and give a presentation in front of 200 people and because you have practiced that. It's not easy.
Right. Even practicing saying, I don't have the answer to that, but I'll get back to you. Yeah. And then not to get cheesy, I just want to end with one more thing as it relates to confidence, not to get cheesy with you guys, but it's energy as well. I am super overprotective and obsessive about energy, not just my own energy, but energy that's around me. If I get in an Uber, I ask the Uber guy to turn down his radio. I don't want to walk into his stuff, right? I don't know what he listened to. I don't know what the lyrics are. I'm not about that right now. I need either silence or I need things that uplift me. And the same goes for the people around you. So having the right energy in the right circle will help guide you in the right path, or you just have to do it alone. So preparation, being mindful of your energy, and also self-reflection in terms of why do I think I don't have this thing?
Great. So we've got 3 more questions. One, I see a note that John Browning is going to answer the question live. Not sure whether we should do that now or at the end. I'll go ahead and ask a question. We'll see how John pops in for some answers. I'll ask 2 other questions then. Let's see, we've already answered. There's an anonymous shy attendee asking about strategies to use when you want to change your career and be successful. I think we've answered that. Let's see. Oh, wow. Here's in my area. So Dorcas is asking, I'm a graduate in business management with concentration in logistics and operations. I spent a year and a half in sales and marketing. Great. In this period of pandemic, would you advise a person to keep that interest as of now? Business, certain industries are doing well, others are not doing well. By this question, I want to learn from your sales experiences how a person can go on with this tragedy. I mean, in my own experience, I'm involved in global trade management, international supply chain. Everything I've done and wanted to do has been global in nature. I don't want to do anything that's not global. So as long as I think students are aligned with what they want to do in the world, even in downturned industries, the cruise ship industry, tourism industry has been devastated, but even in some downturns, excellence will be recognized and rewarded in the marketplace. So my view is practice excellence in yourself and go out and find the best company that is at best in class in that industry and go work for that company because they will be successful. I don't know if you wanted to add anything about this because it's a scary time right now.
Yeah, it's a scary time. And there's very few industries I would say, hey, do not approach for these economical reasons. Because here's the thing, I have survived 9/11.
Yes.
I have survived the economic downturn of 07 through 09. And I survived the COVID pandemic and did not get laid off in any of those roles during those really cruciating time. And that's because of talent, right? If you are really valued in the contributions you're bringing to the organization, that you have a better chance of surviving any industry, any org, and any economic downturn. Now, with that said, to David's point, find the best orgs. Listen, I knew one day I was going to work for GE. I knew one day I was going to work for Microsoft. And for you guys, I would say, you have the computer at your fingertips. Google the best, go to Forbes. I love Forbes lists. Go to Forbes and look at the top 100 companies. They have all these top 100 lists. See what companies you want to work for and why. Start creating profiles on their website with your resume. Create search agent for jobs to come to yourself. You can get the job in the career in the company you want.
And just a note out to Dorcas, because I'm in the trade management, which is part of the logistics industry.
Yeah.
Reach out to me on LinkedIn and connect. I'll be glad to look at your profile, share a little bit online, on the phone, however we would want to do it, about logistics and operations, sales and marketing. I'd be glad Dorcas, if you'd like to reach out to me personally.
That is amazing. And I would say this, anytime you get an opportunity where someone like Dave says, reach out to me on LinkedIn, do it. Mentors and people that are open to talking about their experiences and their career tracking, it doesn't happen every day. And then the other thing I would just add is LinkedIn is game changing. These jobs I'm telling you that I've had, they all found me via LinkedIn. So I would say to you, do a shift from Instagram and Facebook and go to LinkedIn. That's the true plug. Like go to LinkedIn, guys. And then I like to approach life with a sense of gratitude. And gratitude comes in many forms. And it's as simple as liking and commenting on different posts on LinkedIn. That is where you're going to make the friends that really matter. And then their job search functionality, LinkedIn gonna need to give me a check for this, but let me tell you. Their job searching functionality, it's amazing. I'm happy to talk about it offline, but LinkedIn is the plug. LinkedIn is how you find people that are not in your immediate circle, who's not your immediate geography, but that's in the career or the function that you're seeking, and they are a fingertip away.
Well, it's interesting because every job from my second job onward, I've gotten a phone call. And my name has been surfaced by multiple people from different places. And then I get that phone call. So work those relationships in an upright, altruistic manner.
Yeah.
And first of all, you'll meet some pretty cool, interesting people, I think. So we're getting at the top of the hour, but there's another question. Then I want to get to the question to see if John is the one to answer this in the live environment. Let's see. Oh, I love this one. In Kalumo is asking a question. What factors do you most consider when planning for the future? I like this question personally because I live in the future. It's what I've had to do. It's just my personality, and in my job, I'm a global strategist, whereas my wife lives totally in the present. So we are a wonderful combination. She pulls me back to have fun and enjoy the beauty of today. And then I go off thinking about the future, and it's a nice combination. So how do you plan for the future while living in the present and perhaps enjoying the present? What's your factors?
Listen, Dave, you and I are the same. You're my spirit animal. Like I have to remind myself to stop and smell the flowers. You guys too, like, you know, wherever you are is one step closer than where you were yesterday. So just keep going. But the way I like to plan for the future is, you know, I first think about what it is I want. I do spend some time with myself and asking myself, why do I want these things? Not why do I deserve them, because we're all worthy of what's to come and these greater things. But I ask myself, why do I want these things? And then I spend a little time there, and then I circle back to, how am I going to measure that I'm there? What are the different milestones to getting there? If you want to lose 30 pounds, well, I'm going to try to lose 5 pounds this month. So what is that measurement of success or achievement is going to look like along the way? That's how I plan for the future. You know, I have career goals in terms of roles I want to be in. I'm already asking myself, okay, what type of exposure or experience is required to be in that role, and how do I attain it, and how do I know I've done that? So that's kind of the way that I plan for the future, and I hope that answers your question.
Well, I'm learning from that too, and I'm sure they'll enjoy that question. It's interesting from my own personal perspective. Although I've always been future oriented, even as a child, because I was curious about the global world.
Yeah.
For me, it's increased when I reached a certain age. Till I got a certain age, intellectually, I understood my own mortality. Emotionally, I never thought about it. Now, and this is why I love GMI. I wake up every morning, I say, I don't have, you know, another 100 years to live. Every day has to be meaningful, and I'm grateful to GMI for bringing some of that meaning in life. So it's this balance between future and present that it's not necessarily a conundrum, but it's exciting. So let me ask, as the top of the hour here, because I could go on for days like this with you, Winnie.
I'm having a great time. I'm having a great time.
Lorado is asking, hi, everyone. I'm doing my last year in the Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration at Maharishi Institute in Johannesburg. I'd like to know what skills Winnie has developed as a professional since taking the role of being, but we've already answered that, but this is John is going to answer the question. So I think we're okay on that. Are there, let me go and make sure I'm up to date on any chats or questions. Yeah.
This has been so great, guys. Your questions are amazing. So, Dorcas, why you say interesting, Dorcas? Why'd you say interesting?
Somebody may be typing here.
Okay.
I think that means they like your answer.
Okay.
We all like your answers. So I think this has been a great session. Thank you so much, Winnie, for this. Well, there's another question. Let's get Patrick's question.
Okay.
In here. Where is Pat? Well, I can't see it. I saw a Patrick question. Well, I don't know. I don't want to leave anyone unanswered.
We've got Patrick and Dorcas joining the room.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Perhaps Well, I thought there was a question. So, Winnie, I wanted to thank you and everyone for joining this conversation. Certainly want to thank GMI and John Browning. I'd like to ask everyone to stay tuned for more GMI roundtable discussions. And we'll close here with a little bit of moment of silence to let the technicians behind the scenes know that we've finished the session. I have really enjoyed this, Winnie. Thank you so much. Love your smile. And I think you've impacted not only my life, but others on this call. And it's very nice, Winnie. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. And I really appreciate the questions and the thoughts and the opportunity. And for those of you that are part of the Global Mentorship Initiative, stick with the program. It's worthy. And also feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I told you LinkedIn is a plug. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always open to answering questions that can help you guys out.
Well, let's sneak in Patrick's question. I see it. Okay. Patrick from Kigali, Rwanda. I did healthcare management and I'm joining the GMI program. What are the basic expectations from the mentor?
So my experience as a mentor from this program is you really need to be structured and organized. Like make your, schedule your dates in advance, make sure that the invites are received by your mentee, prepare for each session in advance. And remember, you're bringing you, right? So you definitely want to study or prepare with the content that GMI is giving you, but you're bringing you. That is your best skill set. That is your competitive advantage. Be you, but also be organized, make sure your invite is being received, and make sure you prepare for each session in advance.
Great. Well, thank you, Winnie, and thank all of the attendees. And stay tuned for the next roundtable session. I'm looking forward.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.